Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Life with Nerds. Hope you guys are doing well today. We're going to be discussing smartwatches. There was a smartwatch release by Hublot. They have had a history of creating smartwatches within the past 10 years. And we're going to be discussing, giving you a little bit of information about the watch and telling you what we think about smartwatches that are coming out of Swiss watch manufacturers at a fairly quicker clip than in previous years. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button for us for this video about smartwatches that Hublot released, as well as subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos. So to give you a little bit of backstory, smartwatches have really become very popular within modern watch collecting. Obviously the Apple Watch was one of the first watches that really got people interested in having a smartwatch on their wrist. Obviously other companies have released watches like the Tag Heuer connected watch, as well as Hublot's first rendition of their smartwatch line. Hublot released their Big Bang E, which is their second version of a smartwatch that they released. Previously, Hublot had released a smartwatch called the Big Bang Referee, which was going to be used by referees in the 2018 World Cup in Russia. This watch was actually around $5,000 US, so it was a little bit less expensive than a lot of the other Hublots that you find. But this was a big watch. This was 49 millimeters, which I think was to aid referees to make sure that they could actually read the time on their wrist, being that they were going to be controlling a lot of the things on their wrist. This watch was worn by referees in this World Cup, and was a pretty big move by a company like Hublot, who had traditionally made mechanical or quartz watches. I think smartwatches in general have become fairly popular for these Swiss watch manufacturers. Like I mentioned, Tag Heuer released their connected watch fairly recently, which was a way to try and step into the smartwatch industry, and Hublot did the same. This Big Bang E, which was their new version of their smartwatches, looks very similar to the Big Bang Referee. However, this watch is actually only 42 millimeters, so a lot more wearable compared to the other sizes of smartwatches that they had released previously. This watch again looks very much like the Big Bang. You have this fairly sporty look to it. It has this beautiful bezel on it with like a rubber strap as well. I think this watch comes in two versions. There's a titanium case version, and there's a black ceramic case version of this watch. It has a crown at 3 o'clock as well, and there's a bunch of variations that you can get of this watch that make it quite unique. You can change up the dials with how you want. I'm looking at a version of this with a world time function on it, with the time in the middle of it. So you can definitely play around with the dials, which is not something you can do with a mechanical watch like my Memosail. As far as the software goes for this watch, the watch was running on Google's Wear OS, so this is basically going to be compatible with any type of device you're using, whether that's Android or iOS from Apple. You have functions like Google Play Store, Google Assist features, and it's really kind of a universally used OS system, besides that which runs on which Apple Watches run on. They have some interesting launches that kind of were in combination with some like a well-known artist. They have 8 dials designs that were created by artist Mark Ferraro. So interesting that they collaborated with an artist to try and bring a little bit of the cultural aspects of art and design into their release of this watch. There's a 24-hour period overlay. This dial actually has something that happens every 3 hours. The dial actually changes color and has a completely different animation to it, which I think is really interesting. My thoughts on this, I think it's interesting that watch manufacturers are going towards creating smartwatches. Just to give you an idea, the titanium version of this watch is going to be $5,200 US, and the black ceramic will cost $5,800. So when you hear those prices and you think about, okay, I'm going to get a Hublot watch that's a smartwatch, but I could get an Apple Watch for far less than what this Hublot cost me. It really puts into perspective, should Swiss watch manufacturers or watch manufacturers in general really be thinking about trying to enter into the into the smartwatch industry? Is that a smart move for them? Because if we're completely honest, if I went and spoke to someone who was wearing an Apple Watch, I'm gonna say the majority of the time they probably wouldn't know who Hublot really is. So this is really, I don't think, a way that the Hublot is going to capture another segment of individuals to buy their watches. I think this is really, unfortunately, Swiss watch manufacturers who are producing smartwatches, they're really just creating another watch that they can market to their already existing client base. Not to say that they may not capture some other people who perhaps, let's say, saw their Big Bang referees a smartwatch and maybe got into the brand that way. That's still a possibility, but I wouldn't say that this is going to get them into it. Smartwatches, let's say you get a $400 Apple Watch. That's a lot less than buying a almost $6,000 smartwatch. So I don't really know if it's a good move by Swiss watch manufacturers to be going for smartwatches. But another part of me believes that smartwatches and mechanical watches should actually be treated as separate entities and should not be compared in the same vein. A mechanical watch, a wristwatch that you're purchasing is to be enjoyed on its own, separate from that of a smartwatch. If you haven't noticed, I'm wearing a mechanical watch. This is a memo sale on my left wrist, and then I'm actually wearing a smartwatch on this wrist as well. So you can see that I'm wearing two watches today, and it's because I wouldn't choose one over the other. I think a smartwatch has different benefits than a mechanical watch has. For example, this smartwatch has aided me in staying active, and when I'm thinking about going and exercising, this watch is assisting me. But this mechanical watch on my left wrist really is because I love wristwatches, and I don't think I should treat them in the same vein. I think if you are a Hublot fan and you like watches, I can see you wearing a smartwatch on one wrist and maybe a Hublot Big Bang on the other. I don't know what that would look like, because you can tell that this smartwatch is a lot thinner and smaller than my mechanical watch. But I think these are things that I think Swiss watch manufacturers have to take into consideration, because $6,000 for a smartwatch is a lot. I think the trend is that it's slowly becoming a little bit more popular to have a smartwatch. But then again, when I walk around the city, I don't really see many people wearing the Tag Heuer connected watch or the Hublot referee smartwatch. It's just not something that I see very often. So I hope that this isn't just a move to try and capture another segment of individuals, because I think they should be treated separately. I will say, doing this now, it really shows that Hublot is trying to follow along with the trends that are going on. So it really shows that they're kind of keeping a pulse of where society is going when it comes to watch collecting, because smartwatches have become a lot more prevalent in today's society than they were just 10 years ago. Obviously, because I don't think they were actually around 10 years ago. But it's an interesting release. It's a cool looking watch. I personally wouldn't buy it because I'm a little bit more mechanically inclined. But if I did somehow become a Hublot, interested in Hublot watches, I think this would be a cool watch to have, because I don't know how many of these are actually going to sell, or how many people are actually going to buy these. This could be a very, very limited edition piece that you aren't going to see on many people's wrists. And in 10, 20, 30 years from now, you may not even see these in many people's collections. So it could be very, very rare to have this. It also, which I think is a staple of the time that we were in right now. And 30 years from now, we can probably look back and say, wow, I can't believe this is what we did during that time period. So who knows? I think this is all speculation on my point, but I do think it's cool that Hublot came out with this, being that they did capture some type of audience with their referee's watch. I hope you enjoyed this information from me. I apologize that I don't have the watch. I should have said it in the beginning of the video, but I don't have the watch with me. I wanted to give you my perspective on smartwatches, so hope this was helpful to you. If you are new to Life on the Wrist, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you're notified when we upload these types of videos. We kind of cover watches just in general. Whenever we have some type of life experience or something happens with watches, we want to cover them for you. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos, and turn on that bell icon so you're notified when we upload. Also, if you wouldn't mind smashing that like button for us, It really does help us out when you just hit that like button, so that people who are interested in these types of videos, similar to yourself, will be able to see these videos. Also, if you didn't know, we have released our launch collection for our Life on the Wrist clothing store. So this is the first piece. This is our launch collection piece. So got our logo on the front, launch collection on the neck. If you are interested in this, there's a link in the description to our clothing store, or you can go to www.lifeonthewrist.com/clothing. And this is a really this was a really fun thing for me to do, and it's a gift to you guys for saying thank you for all the support that you've had for this channel over the past year and a bit, as well as our website since 2017. So go check this out, and with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.